This week's LYT reset class is dedicated to Locust Pose. So to find our Locust Pose, we're going to be connecting to the core, learning how to use our inhales to find space for this low back and this quadratus lumborum area all above that sacrum. And then also we'll be exploring how we can first set our locust up for success using Cobra Pose, and then putting a little bit more demand in a good way for those back muscles by adding that extra reach back and finding our locust. So you can just get started coming down onto the ground. And you'll want your feet on the floor. You don't have to be able to touch your ankles or anything. Shoulders will come down onto the ground. You've got the back of the skull on the ground. Now you can give yourself any little adjustments that might feel good here. The spine needs to do a little bit of wiggling out to kind of find itself. Again, we just want to feel the sacrum, the scapula, and the skull all connected to the floor. Now take a breath in here and feel that expansiveness, and feel as you inhale, there's this natural extension of the low back. Our ribs are elevating. We're creating more space with that inhale. Then as you exhale, you'll feel this little consolidation of the core. You feel this front line drawing in towards that back line. It's all just a part of that. Again, natural breathing movement. Another inhale here, filling it up. And then with an exhale, press into the feet, rooting your tailbone to the heels, lift the pelvis off the floor. Now, first we can keep our arms by our side here. So we're feeling our shoulder blades on the ground. We can feel a little press of the arms into the floor just to get those shoulders connected into the back of the ribs, but we don't use the arms to drive the hips up. It's really not so important how high up we are here, but it's really about activating our glutes, making sure they're ready to go, and providing that space for the low back. So again, take another inhale here. Let that space be breathed into the low back, continue to root the tailbone and feel that consolidation of the core on the exhale. You'll take your hands up to the ceiling, spread your fingers, and really plug your arms into your shoulder sockets as if you're trying to squeeze your shoulder blades together here. Maybe notice if your chin started to lift. Bring that skull back down onto the floor. You'll bring your left hand across the four fingers of your right hand. You'll pull back towards your face, and your right thumb will start to drift away from the center of the palm. Take another inhale. And exhale. Again, use the exhale to root the tailbone. So it's okay to be lower in your bridge, especially if it helps you fire up your glutes even more. Another inhale here, fill up the low back with some space. Exhaling and sending it back out. Release your right wrist, circle it a couple times. You take it the other way. Your left hand will come up to the ceiling, pull back on the four fingers of the left hand, and draw back and feel that connection to that left wrist. Palm is going up to the ceiling, inhale here. Sighing it out and breathing it all the way out and down. As you breathe here, continue to work the glutes, continue to root the tailbone, make those muscle fibers fire up here. We're going to need our glutes for our locust. They won't be on like 100%, but they're going to have a solid 50, 60% activation to them. Here, they might be on 100%. Roll your wrists a few times. And then we'll bring our arms back down by our side. Now take one more big inhale here. Exhale, breathe all that air out. And with that little retention, bring yourself down one vertebrae at a time. Really letting yourself feel that full articulation the whole way through the spine to come all the way down to that sacrum. Uncurling the tailbone. We'll find that balanced spine. So again, sacrum, scapula, skull, all in line on the floor. Hands come behind the head. Interlace the fingers, palms come behind the skull, elbows come in. So we're going to use our arms to find a little more shoulder activation here. Big inhale here, fills it up. Exhale, consolidate and lift the shoulder blades off the ground. So consolidate by drawing everything into the center. The front to back, side to side, everything holding here. Inhale and lower. Exhale and lift, everything gathers together. You'll reach your left arm up. And as you reach your left arm up towards the ceiling, spread the four fingers of your left hand and really feel that left shoulder blade slide away from the center. You'll bring your left hand back behind your head. Inhale and lower. Exhale and lift. Everything gathers together. You're gonna root that tailbone towards the heels. Shoulder blades come up. Right arm reaches up. Now really reach from that right shoulder blade. You wanna feel that little protraction happening. Let it bring you up higher. Bring your right hand back behind your head. Inhale, lower. Exhale and lift. Gather it together. Left arm reaches up. Spread that left shoulder blade. Make a fist with the left hand, and then bring your left elbow down by your side and plug it into the floor, and really feel your left shoulder blade plug onto the back ribs. Don't let that collapse you down though. Left hand comes back behind the head. Inhale, lower. Exhale and lift. Gather together. Shoulder blades come up. Right arm reaches. Protract that right shoulder blade. Make a fist with the right hand, and then bring that right elbow down by your side. So it's a solid press down with that right elbow. We feel that right shoulder blade hug onto the back ribs so humeral head stays center instead of shooting it forward. Right hand comes back, inhale and lower, but it might reveal where your humeral head typically tends to go as you lower. So exhale and lift. Left arm reaches up. Last one on this side, make that fist, and then left elbow plugs down beside us. Squeeze that left shoulder blade onto the back ribs. Let that lift you up a little bit higher. Left hand comes back, inhale and lower. Exhale and lift. Rise up, gather, right arm reaches up. Fist with that right hand, bring that right elbow down beside you. Plug that right shoulder blade onto the back ribs. Feel that connection into the core. Right hand comes back, inhale and lower. So in the same way with that core work that we just connected, using the upper core and that scapula and that subscapularis, all those good muscles under the shoulder blades, we're going to be feeling those in our locust as well. It's a way to support us here and get that full back extension. You want to get back extension, but we just want to make sure when we do that, that it's balanced in the spine through every vertebrae we have. Let's come around on the hands and knees. And from here, bring it around into quadruped. For quadruped, you're going to want to get your palms underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath of your hips, and feel the throat draw into the back of the neck. You can even look forward for a second and then pull your chin towards the chest. That's a really good way just to get your neck in line with the shoulders, especially if you're like me, you tend to spend some time just for your job or anything like that at the computer for a few hours a day. Chances are you're starting to get that head drawn forward towards that screen. So you can get that little check in there. Pull that chin in and feel that elongation. Palms are pressing into the ground. Our knees are underneath of us. And so we're pressing into our hands and really grip that floor with your fingertips all the way down into your knuckles where your fingers are plugging into your hands. You want to feel them connect into the floor. Feel like you could dial your left hand out to the left, your right hand out to the right. Now they won't actually move on you, but it's going to create this corkscrew energy sensation driving up the forearms. You're going to get that plugging into the tricep and onto the subscapula. Why? So we can support ourselves here with this collarbone sternum connection. So feel that sternoclavicular joint, just kind of taking that energy here. And then from that same area in the front of the chest, traveling right back down the shoulder blades through your arms and into the floor with those palms on the ground. Now just take a full inhale here, fill it all up. And exhale, draw the core in. So feel the lift of the belly into the back, the sides of the ribs pulling in together. Another inhale, big breath in. And as we exhale, just letting that consolidation. Whole time we're still pressing into the hands. We're still staying active here. There's a lift of the core, even though we're breathing, allowing for that expansiveness. There's a readiness to it. Now tuck your toes, take another inhale. And then this time, exhale and just hover your knees off the ground. See if you can do that without protracting the shoulder blades, but just allowing your shoulders to sit on the back ribs in neutral. Still feel like your hands could press away from each other and dial out a little bit. Knees lower. Inhale here. Again, exhale, press into the hands, hover the knees. So we feel that front line of the body lift up into that back line of the body and the shoulder blades supporting, holding on the back ribs, not letting them droop off the back ribs this time. So it's a little different than the core work we were doing. This is still core work too. Knees lower. One more time here. So inhale, exhale, feel that drawing in together. Press in the hands, press into the toes and hover your knees. It's that gathering together, the front line, the abdominals lifting, holding us up, that multifidi, space in the low back as we inhale. Keeping that space as we exhale, feeling the belly button lift into the low back. And then you'll lower those knees down. Sit back or stand up on your knees for a second and just roll your shoulders back one at a time. So again, here too, because we spend so much of our typical daily lives rounded forward with the shoulders in protraction, I'm just helping us find a little bit more external rotation and getting our mind to remember what it's like to sit these shoulder blades back. So one at a time here, even if you typically go both at once, see how different it is on each side when you roll them. Maybe there's not much of a difference at all. That's good. But for a lot of us, chances are you're going to notice one side probably a little noisier than the other, maybe a little less mobility there. And then you'll probably tend to notice too, like, well, that's also the side of my neck that also feels tight for me typically. So again, we're going to use all this to help us find our locusts today. Now we'll start off in our down dog and we'll just begin to flow the rest of our reset from there. So from quadruped, you can push into the hands. Again, on purpose, we'll release our neck, maybe protract those shoulder blades. Push in the hands. In fact, do that. Protract the shoulder blades, spread that space of the upper back, then hoist your pelvis up towards the ceiling. The knees don't have to straighten. And in fact, for a lot of people, keeping a little bend in those knees is probably going to help you find more space for that low back. So just bend those knees and feel like you could lift your femur bones higher up into the hip sockets. Press into the hands. Feel like your forearms are lifting away from the floor. We don't want that sensation of feeling like our chest is sagging down back to our legs. One more breath here. As you exhale, draw the core in, step the left foot forward, lower the right knee down. You can lower the top of the foot. You can adjust your feet so you're in that 90-90 position of the legs. Inhale, arms reach forward and up. Right glute is working here, and we're not hesitating to reach those arms up towards the ears. Hands come down, step back for plank. So step back to your plank and lower your knees. So we'll do the knees down today, and if you want to have the knees up, you're welcome to. But this will just give us a little bit more support for the shoulder blades so we can focus on our locust. Cobra first though, lower all the way to the ground, head of the arm bone, stay lifted. And for this first one, hands stay by your side. So feel like you could dial your right hand out to the right, the left hand out to the left. They won't really move, but you'll feel your shoulder blades plug onto your back ribs. Keep the chin tucked in towards the chest. Inhale here. So fill up the back, root the tailbone. And then when you exhale, feel your belly button lift away from the floor and up towards your low back. Take two more like that. Inhaling. Exhaling, lift belly into back. Inhale, root the tailbone, create the space for the low back, pull back with the hands. Exhale, squeeze shoulder blades together, lift front line into the back line. Then push into the hands. You can still use the knees. Bring yourself up into downward facing dog. Again, head of the arm bones, stay centered here in the shoulder socket. So we're going to feel those forearms lift away from the floor. The right foot steps forward, the left knee comes down, 90-90 lunge. So again, you can rearrange the legs. If you have to scoot that front leg forward to find that 90-90, inhale, reach the arms forward and up, squeeze the left glute, root it down to the floor and reach these shoulders up to the ears, creating length here from the hips through the ribs, all the way up to that scapula. Hands come down. Step back for plank. Again, option to lower the knees. You can go without it. Lower all the way to the ground. Try and keep the head of your arm bones where they plug into your shoulder sockets, lifted away from the floor. And now for this first one, inhale, root the tailbone, pull back with the hands, shoulder blades on the back ribs. Keeping the head of the arm bones lifted here. Still stay in this Cobra pose. We'll inhale, lift into the low back by rooting the tailbone. And then exhale, feel the belly button drawn to the low back. Now maybe hover the hands. Really good. See if you can stay here for the inhale. So our first little locust variation, hovering the hands from Cobra. Belly button lifts into the low back. Exhaling. Hands land. Press on that retention. You can come back up through plank. Fold yourself in half. Use the strength of those abdominals to lift you up and into downward facing dog. Another inhale here. Exhale. Step the left foot forward. Right knee comes down. 90-90, inhale, arms reach forward and up. And then this time, bring your hands down in front of your chest. Like we started in our bridge, plug your arms into your shoulder sockets. Really feel like you plug those arm bones into that shoulder socket. Hands come down, step back for plank. So again, feel the hands connected to the floor, lower the knees, lower all the way to the ground. Head of the arm bones stay lifted. So this will be a little bit different yet. We'll bring our hands back. Palms will reconnect with the floor. So we still want to press our palms into the ground just to feel our shoulder blades squeeze together and stay up on the back ribs. I keep my toes tucked here. I find that's most comfortable. Neck is long. You could even keep your forehead all the way down on the ground for this. So inhale, fill up your back, root your tailbone. Exhale, press in your hands, continue to root the tailbone and feel the belly button lift up and into the low back. Inhaling, little lift into the low back, root that tailbone. Exhale, pressing to the hands, just feeling the shoulder blades on the back ribs, activating that subscapula. One more like this, inhale. And exhale. Hands come back by your ribs. Get ready for push up, rise up. Do plank, fold yourself in half, downward facing dog. One breath in. Exhale, right foot steps forward, left knee comes down. 90-90 low lunge, inhale, arms reach forward and up. Bring your hands in front of your chest, so they're halfway down, palms are forward, fingers spreading. Plug the head of the arm bones back into the shoulder sockets. Lower the hands down to the ground. Step back for plank. In plank again, you can check your neck, maybe look forward for a second, and then bring that chin in. Lower the knees, lower all the way to the ground. Head of the arm bones stay lifted. Once again, reach the arms back, gaze is down. So palms press, toes are tucked. Inhale, fill up the back. Exhale, lift the belly button into the low back line. Keep pressing the palms down. Another inhale, fill up the back. And exhale, draw that core up and in. Shoulder blades on the back ribs. So just an option here. Inhale, fill up the back. Maybe hover the legs. The hands stay down now. So we keep that little connection to the scapula. We don't want to dump into the low back. Keep rooting the tailbone. Toes lower and tuck. Hands come back by your side. Press up through plank. Fold yourself in half. Downward facing dog. Probably feel some good heat in the shoulders. So we have our last two locusts. One inhale. Exhale, set it up. Step that left foot forward. Right knee lowers. And then keep the arms down by your side, but rise up for 90-90 low lunge. Our arms sweep down beside you, fingers facing down, palms facing forward. You're making like a little upside down V with your arms here. Feel that locust pose here in our lunge. Hands come down. Step back to plank. You can lower the knees or go without. Arms reach back. This time we'll keep the legs down, but hover the arms. Inhale, fill up the back like a big balloon. Root your tailbone. So the toes can stay down just to keep that even distribution of the spine. Inhaling, filling up the back. Exhaling, squeeze those shoulders onto the back ribs. Reach back with those fingertips. Root that tailbone. Feel the belly button lift into the low back. Last breath here. Exhale, lift. Line into the back line. Hands come down by your side, pressing those palms. Up through plank, fold yourself in half. Downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot steps forward, left knee comes down. Again, arms sweep down by your side as you come up to 90-90, palms face forward. Squeeze that left glute, fill up the air. Hands come down, step back for plank. On the retention, lower all the way to the ground. Last one here. So option, reach the arms back, legs can stay down, root the tailbone, maybe lift the legs. There you can point the toes, squeeze them together. Glutes are working here. So, not like 100%, but we got like a solid 50% going on here. Big inhale, fill up the back. And exhale. Filling up with the inhale. Staying for the exhale. One more here, inhale. And exhale. We'll bring our hands down by our side. We'll press into our hands. Come up through plank and then bring our knees underneath the hips. Now just move your hips from side to side so we get a little lateral flexion going there. We were just doing a lot of spinal extension, so I want you to be able to get a little bit of movement to the sides here. And then you can slow your little doggy tail wag down, make a little cat-cow, pull it forward, pushing the hands, spread the shoulder blades. So it's a little spinal wave going from my tailbone up the spine. To lift my gaze, And then I reinitiate that by dropping my chin into my chest, pushing into the hands, spreading the shoulder blades, rooting the tailbone down. You could definitely be going a good bit slower than me on this. So letting yourself have the time to articulate each vertebrae, even if it takes a little longer. And then when you're ready again, feel free to take those a few more times to come to a neutral spine. So long with its natural curves, and then a little thread of the needle under the right arm, left arm comes under right. We can wiggle that right arm out in front of us and get a little extra side stretch. Feel free to stay here for a few more breaths, but when you're ready, right hand comes in, come back up through quad, and right arm underneath that left arm. And again, you can stay here, inhaling and exhaling. Option to add a little lateral stretch on the left side by, just wiggling your fingers forward, just kind of inching them out in front of you and letting that left arm get long. One more breath here. And again, feel free to take a few more breaths if you're feeling like a little more space on that time is needed. And you'll bring your left hand back in, press into it, right hand comes back. So I hope that this class helps you feel a little more confident in your locust pose, at least really get you these key principles of how we can take locust in a really safe way that'll build our body into more strength and create more sustainability in our practice. So again, those 3 big tips. Using the inhale to do what an inhale does, create space in the low back spinal extenders, filling that root of the tailbone, creating our exhale to give us that engagement, that lift and support for the low back that we're looking for. So not pushing it down, but lifting it up and in, hugging that low back, and then finding those scapula on the back ribs, giving them that opportunity to lift the upper core in a locust so we can feel balanced and long there. And as always, light me honors the light inside of you, and I bow to your practice and say namaste.